man's greed has no limits, and usually we all are self-centered. We only think about our own advantage and never care for our environment. So, what has happened is that animals have been killed mercilessly, sometimes due to some reason and many times even without a reason. You know, old kings, they used to think it a sport. Just for fun they would go to forest and kill animals. And then there was also cutting of trees for fuel, for just like that, for making houses. Now, Government of India thought that this cannot go on. So, they have made certain areas which are protected. Have you ever visited a sanctuary? There are many sanctuaries in our country today. What is a sanctuary? Sanctuary basically means a protected area. In a sanctuary, not only the area is protected, and what does that mean? Protected area. That means in that area you can't kill animals. Killing of animals is called poaching. You must have heard about Veerappan, the most famous or the infamous poacher who had really poached elephants. Elephants are killed for ivory. So, you see, they created sanctuaries which are protected areas where poaching is prohibited, so that animals can live peacefully there. Next is national parks. In a national park, not only animals are protected, both plants and animals are protected. Plants, animals, and even the tribal life. Because we do not only want to save our animals, we also want to save our forests, our trees, our plants, and the tribes who live in these areas, they are largely dependent upon these forests. Their culture is great and they have a certain way of life which we do not want to disturb, which even they do not like to get disturbed. So, in national parks these areas are protected. Third is biosphere reserves. Biosphere reserves do what sanctuaries also do, what national parks also do. That is, they protect the biodiversity, the total range of plants and animals, not just a particular animal. So, they protect the biodiversity, plus they also protect some of the monuments or some of the historical things which are there in that area. In a biosphere reserve, there can be sanctuary also and national park also. Now, one of the famous biosphere reserve is Pachmarhi, and it is very famous because you see Pachmarhi is a place, a hill station in Madhya Pradesh. It has both the flora and the fauna of Western Ghats in down south and the Himalayas. So, there is a great biodiversity there. Now, within this there is also a Satpura National Park, and there are also sanctuaries like Bori and Pachmarhi. So, within a biosphere reserve also there can be marked areas, protected areas. So, this was one angle by which the wildlife was being conserved. But even then, you know, if there are lawmakers, there are also lawbreakers. So, a lot of illegal practices carry on, and despite strict laws, many plants, many trees are cut, many animals are killed for their various useful products. But even then there has been lot of improvement. For example, there is this project tiger. You know, the number of tiger was reducing drastically. In the biosphere reserve of Pachmarhi, the number of tigers has actually increased. So, at least somewhere our laws are helping us. Now, when an animal is reducing in number, what do we call it? We call it endangered species, which means a species in danger, like tiger, elephant, crocodile, and so on. And when somebody breaks laws, he may be a celebrity or so what? Action is taken. Like in the case of Salman Khan, when he tried to kill Barasingha, what happened? He is facing litigation. Even Nawab of Patodi, the senior one, he faced litigation. There is a community, Bishnoi community in Rajasthan, who is very particular about conservation. One of their ancestors, Amrita Devi Bishnoi, had even led a movement, and they were able to, create an awareness about conservation. They worship some of wildlife. And what is the meaning of worshipping? We also say we worship cows, but what does worshipping actually mean? Does it only mean ringing the bell or putting a tilak or putting a garland? No. Worshipping means when we care for something, when we protect. So, if we want to worship cow, or if we want to worship Ganga, or if we want to worship some particular animal, what we actually need to do is conserve that. Now, for example, there is a plant, jingo, just like our people plant, it is a religious plant, and it grows in the vicinity of Buddhist temples. So, it has survived, while other related species has become extinct. What is the meaning of extinct? When some species totally disappears, that is called extinct. Like a dodo or a dinosaur. So, the endangered species can also become extinct if we are not careful.